You guys are ready?
No.
All right, let's get back to some boring subjects.
Understand the risk to our country.
Freedom brings people together. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the program. It's been almost a year, but we're back. So we'll talk a little bit about who we are, reintroduce ourselves. And then I don't know what we're talking about. I just said to Reinhold and Harry, bring a topic and we'll talk about it. So stay tuned here on We Are Libertarians.
Warning, this show is for adults, produced by semi-adults. So the language is sometimes strong and offensive.
I don't know what I said.
Welcome to We Are Libertarians, where our goal is to help you sound smarter while talking to your friends. We examine current events from a libertarian perspective while treating modern politics with all of the irreverence it deserves.
There has been lie after lie.
We toss out the screaming heads, put people before political parties, and give context to the news to make you think. Now, here's our host, a 15-year veteran of politics and media, Chris Spangle.
20. You know, it's funny, Reinhold couldn't hear it, but it's the old intro, basically. You know it. But it's funny to hear it because I'm trying to do things so more maturely. It really speaks to how things were as an adult. I'm more maturing, but for those of you who don't know, this is We Are Libertarians. You're also hearing it in the Chris Spangle Show feed, so don't be confused. Little background. We Are Libertarians was the program that we started in 2012. Chris Galt, Creighton Harrington, and I go way back during the Obama administration, before Obama was reelected. That's how long this show has been running, and it was called We Are Libertarians, and it was started as a college outreach for libertarians. And so me and a couple buddies just sat and chatted about the news in the style of Bob and Tom or Howard Stern or Don and Mike, the Mike O'Mara Show, which is a great podcast that I've always loved. And we've had many, many different iterations of this program. And, you know, we've had like 75, 100 different co-hosts, and we blossomed into a network because this co-host came on. They wanted their own shows, like Harry has Low Key Wall. Go check out that feed. We've got Boss Hog of Liberty, Hody Johns, Brian Nichols, Remzo Martinez, Trisha Stewart. Man, we've had a bunch of different shows and magazines and all kinds of things over the years. The We Are Libertarians podcast network is not what it used to be. I'm a libertarian. These two are libertarians. We're three different types of libertarians, I would say. But the goal of We Are Libertarians has always been to say, let's bring people from a libertarian point of view who agree on that principle, essentially that less government is better. You should not use violence to solve social or political goals. But we may come at it from different cultural perspectives, different wings of the Libertarian Party, different political backgrounds, because ultimately, no matter what you've been told, libertarianism is not cultural. It is political only. It asks, should the government? And it usually answers no. And so this iteration has gone on, I think, longer than any other iteration. I mean, Creighton and Galt only lasted 30 episodes because Galt tried to punch Creighton in the face, and I had to fire him,
Right.
which is where the term Dear Leader. So, you know, I used to do this joke called Dear Leader, where I was a bloviating dictator of my podcast network, and I didn't think we'd actually have that as a president. But, you know, I think if you listen to the Chris Spangle Show, so long story short, every month we've committed at the end of the month to come back and do the show. It's hard for Reinhold to drive out. It's hard for Reinhold to drive an hour. Harry drives 30 minutes, and he hates that we're not going to the Doolittle Studios anymore, but he also wanted to kick us out. And I have this podcast studio in Fountain Square built for in-person podcasting. It's just easier. Reinhold, is it fair to say that you're more left-wing as a libertarian? We always joke that you're a communist.
I don't see it that way. I see myself as very centrist libertarian.
Okay. And Harry, how would you define your libertarianism?
Honestly, I want to say that I am more of that, like, I've stopped hanging out with a lot of the right libertarians, and and I think the left libertarians are a little bit more cooler than some of the right libertarians. But yeah, I I'm in that camp, that left-leaning centrist camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm flaming right-wing Christian libertarian, but not that kind of right-wing libertarian. I'm not Mises, and I still think that pluralism is good and racism is bad.
I think, like, which a lot of people, which we found out in the coming weeks, we found out that, yeah, people know these other people are bad in their space. They're willing to point them out, and that is a good thing. But, yeah, also know there is a difference.
Yeah. So we come at it, we talk about current events. I get a lot of time to talk. To continue to do this show, we used to do this once, sometimes twice a week. Harry's the longest running co-host by far now. I mean, it's gone on since 2017. You've been a regular co-host.
Yeah, that's when I started, doing the Tuesday show. Yep.
Yeah, and then we had the Thursday show, and then I moved and got married, and I've talked all about that in other places, but the spirit of it is people from different perspectives with common ground coming together to talk and argue about politics, and that's what we do here. And we really wanted to get back together and recommit at least monthly to doing this. There is a We Are Libertarians podcast feed. You can also hear it in the Chris Spangle Show feed. And yeah, so that's the preamble. So just kind of reintroducing, because we have not been together since November of last year.
Well, to be fair, really nothing's happened.
Nothing's gone on.
No, we haven't really had a reason to get together.
I've continued to do my show. Loki Wall is on a sabbatical right now.
Correct, yes.
But, we haven't been able to kind of get together because Harry has a child.
One kid.
I have three kids. Reinhold has 9 dogs, 10
dogs and a wife.
And a wife. Care. Yeah. So we're sorry we haven't been able to get together as regularly as we want, but we're committing ourselves to it.
Yes.
Harry has paused his yoga one Saturday a month.
Correct.
I have committed. Reinhold has committed, and we will be here. So, all right. Every year on my birthday, Joshua Sexton sends me a present. Guess why this was late this year?
I am guessing shipping delays because of truckers.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, wrong year.
The president personally found out that it was a present for me and delayed it. But so Joshua every year for years has, much to the chagrin of his wife, who thinks this is creepy, and my wife, who also thinks it's creepy, he spends his hard-earned, God-given money on a beautiful present with my face on it. And I couldn't be more pleased about it, because if there's one thing I love, it's attention and being told I'm awesome. And Joshua Sexton is just my favorite. So here's my birthday present. I have not opened this yet. We're going to see what it is. I've gotten coasters with sayings from the show. I've gotten a gold record.
Yeah, candles with all of us on it.
Candles with everybody on it, which was super fun. The golden WAL microphone, which is lovingly placed in the background over here. Oh, this is nicely shipped. Mugs at one point. It's a butt plug. Oh, no. I had it upside down. Sorry.
Does got a flare base for safety.
Okay, I think I know what this is. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It is a Chris Spangle bobblehead. And it looks exactly like me.
That's awesome. Get the
Very well
cartridge.
done,
Yep.
That is super awesome. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is going on the shelves of... Oh, and it's got cargo pants?
Yeah, I was going to say the cargo pants on it.
It's dressed just like me in
If it's shorts, that would be even better, I think.
blue-collared shirt, headphones, and a microphone. That is wonderful.
Oh.
So, thank you so much, Joshua Sexton. We'll leave that right here. Here in the shot is a yard sign that says "Be civil." So we're going to make sure we commit to civility. Even that dumbass Reinhold over there is going to commit to be civil today. And so I went to a civility summit last night. It's going on today. We talked about it, but I got a cool yard sign. I wanted to put it in the background, and Harry is looking at it with his ugly face.
Yeah. It's a different shade of
Purple? You don't like purple?
I like purple, but this one just like this.
You're being rude.
I just don't like this. I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't like that color. It's just like
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. I get to talk a lot here on the show, on the Chris Spangle Show. I want every month each of you to have the floor for like 30 minutes. Okay, so I'll just say, Harry, what do you got? You can send me a video. We can react to it. Reinhold, send me a video or bring a topic. You cede the floor, and then we'll start the conversation. Does that sound interesting to you two?
Oh, that's awesome. I could really send you some good, cool beanie videos.
I want it to be like relevant to anybody who doesn't spend their day on Discord.
Oh, it will be. It will be. It will be the. There's a lot of different people in different spaces because, like right now, before every election, it's safe to say I'm a libertarian or I have libertarian views. Right now, it's safe to say that. But when it gets really close to election time, as candidates are getting decided, that goes out the freaking window.
Oh yeah.
So those videos is what I would like you to react to. Those are funny.
Okay, beanie. Do you mean Tim Pool?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought it was one of your
the other beanie podcast.
I thought it was one of your weird furry pony things.
How is that weird?
Like Beanie Babies.
Was it what? No. And no one does Beanie Babies, boomer. Okay. All right. We do Labubu's now.
Labubu's. I did watch South Park this week with the Satan worshipping Labubu's. Do you is your little one into Labubu's?
Right now, I'm Labubu safe. Her friends have them. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying those.
I'm marked safe from Labubu's.
Yeah, I did break down, and I'm going to get her an iPad, which hurts me.
Don't do it.
I'm going to do she wants an iPad.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm going to break that.
I mean, if we have learned anything the last few years, keep your kid safe from chatting on video games alone.
Yes. Yeah.
And unfettered internet access on any device is a problem.
Yeah. So some of the parents came over my house and because they were getting on VR.
Yeah.
And they're like, how are you? And when they came over, they're realizing that the kids are in the room playing VR, but everything that was going on was streaming on the TVs in the front room.
Yeah.
And the audio. So I was listening to everything they were saying and seeing everything they're doing. Like, what are you doing? I was like, this is easy. I can show you how to set this tech up because, like, I'm not letting them on VR chat and do anything. And even though they're kid safe rooms, like, heck no, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
And I've got the dump button ready to, like, kick them off.
You have a dump button?
I would kick them out. Yes. Yes. IT owns the road. I control the network. You know.
We have one Amazon tablet that we keep locked up, and they can watch it on trips.
Yeah.
Long trips, not like trips to the grocery store. And but they don't watch tablets. They're 2 and 6, and then we have a 10-week-old. And they watch TV, but it's on the TV downstairs. They don't have a screen in their room. They're never going to have a screen, not until they're 18. We're really committed to it at this point.
I told Gunther that she can have a TV in her room once she reads the Silmarillion. She reads that book.
It's not easy.
No, it is not.
Yeah. Yeah, so keep
I know.
some screen time's fine, but like calm down, everybody.
I thought about like
I do judge parents. Like, okay, if Matthew's really losing his mind at dinner, I'll whip out the Paw Patrol for the 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Just to be respectful of other diners. But if like your 8-year-olds are watching tablets in a restaurant, I do judge you as a parent. Just being honest.
So really, it should be just a tool that's used for accessing the information. Like having all the world's knowledge at your fingertips is an important thing and a great thing for kids to have.
Yeah, pull that up.
But
pull the mic back towards you.
But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff that they probably should be.
Our 6-year-old
involved with.
learned to talk really well, but there's like a whole Roblox security team, like, you know, like online, like, hey, get your kids off Roblox. Like when we've done these sex trafficking episodes here on the show and other podcasts I edit, it all goes back to, yeah, they met a guy online on video games and, you know, they're 12 and then, but the very first, you'd be very proud of this. I've been excited to tell you this, but the first week of first grade, our 6-year-old, Eleonora, spent the whole week learning cybersecurity.
Nice.
They were teaching them about phishing scam. So, like, she kept coming home from school and going, Dad, what do you do if your friend wants your credit card number? What are you asking me this for?
And you were like, Daddy doesn't have a good credit score, so I don't have a credit card.
I literally said to her, I don't worry because I don't have anything. But, yeah.
And now she's running a shop off the side of TikTok.
She's smart enough.
Stuff, yeah.
But I was literally, she learned about phishing scams and not talking to strangers on the internet. And, like, we've started that at 6, 5. Like, because she has different rules at her dad's house and than she does at our house. And so we've got to make sure, I think that's the way to do it. You've got to prepare your kid as if they're going to one day not live in your house.
Correct. Yeah, you have to prep them, got to give them the tools they need. So, like, I've been having Gunther also learn, like, touch typing.
Yeah.
Really good at it. She hates practicing it. She's really fast.
What is touch typing?
Learn how to touch type.
The
Look at the
QWERTY.
keyboard.
Okay, not finger peck like I do.
Finger peck. And she's like, why? If people go like, why are you teaching your kids this? Like, because eventually they have to type up reports.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So like they can either type quickly or peck. And then right now, in elementary, it's just that to them it's a video game that they get to play. Oh, I get to play a video game? You sure can. You can play this touch typing video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well, why don't who wants to go first in what we're going to talk about today? Harry, you have seniority.
Ooh.
Not in life, but on the show at least.
Wow, that hurts. I could let Reinhold go because like, what, you're up to 3 episodes now in your podcast. So do you have anything? Because I've got stuff.
What's your podcast?
I have 1 episode on the podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Is it out? Have you actually published the podcast yet?
Well, it's published, but it's not. There's not a lot of episodes. So I'm
Dr.
trying to
Dre
work.
podcast.
I've got one I'm recording today that's should be going up there. It'll be the first one.
Okay, what is it? Tell people so they can find it.
Politi-nerd.
Politi-nerd. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So I'm just trying to get it populated. So it's available on the feeds.
Okay.
Go look for it.
Point that more at your mouth, please. Yeah,
I've got a bit of a cold thing.
No, you're good. You're good. That's perfect.
All right.
All right. Oh, yeah. See, Reinhold with a cold sounds like he could do movie trailers.
I know. He's got that good, like,
cold.
Yes,
perfect. Exactly. All right, Harry, go ahead.
What I wanted to discuss, which I thought was very neat, was the way, like, the news, how fast the news cycle is going, and then the way these, unbeknownst to, like, everyone is just complaining about it. And to me, it's just like a lot of people are new to this whole space and just shocked that the mainstream media isn't covering their topics.
Yeah, that's kind of like when the arena thing happened, the young woman killed on the train. It's like, that was an interesting conversation because it's like, why isn't mainstream media covering this, even though they're totally irrelevant and nobody watches them? Well, then what do you care?
Correct, yeah.
Because way more people know about it because they get their news on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram or their individual niche podcasts who were all talking about this subject. They knew more about it than quote-unquote mainstream media started picking up. They just wanted the other side to like reflect that and then use that as a cudgel to beat them. Then they're not paying attention to their different news.
It seems to me to be a worn-out news cycles we haven't really talked about in 10 years, but like why aren't they covering it conversation seems to me to be one of those things that people just sort of say, but aren't stepping back and thinking about who cares?
Well, and there's also the time where you hear they aren't covering it, then I can go and CNN's not covering this thing. You go to CNN and you see like 3 articles about it.
Right.
Like, they're covering it, but they're not pumping it, or they're not.
And if you read an article from those outlets about it, because of the way that institutional journalism works and because of AP style, they give you way less information than you're going to find at a local, like you're like a friend on your Facebook feed. And then they don't put that out because it's not vetted.
Right. That's the thing, is that you're not getting as much juicy information or
like the Daily Mail,
what might be happening or whatever, but speculation. But that's what we need. We need people that we can go to and say, okay, here's what we know as the facts.
Yeah.
And then we can still have the conversation of what do you think is going on over here, but we shouldn't have them intermixing so much. Right.
Yeah,
and I think that's been the problem with the media for a long time, is that they're trying to intermingle all of that, where they have, here's the news, and then, here's the 3-hour talk show that we're going to talk about the news.
Right.
And it's the same networking thing. It's like I need some place where I can go and say, okay, what I'm reading here is good journalism. It's been vetted. They're looking at it from every angle, and they're giving me the facts, and they're not trying to spin me on a narrative. If I want that, I can go somewhere else to get that. But I want some place where I can go where I can trust that the information I'm getting is accurate.
Yeah.
And that's I think what we're missing is just too much of that.
Do you think, though, do you understand and accept, you both can answer this, but do you specifically understand and accept right-wing critiques of media, that it is often or many times skewed, or it is not giving you all the information, or it is gatekeeping information, and that it is not as
I don't think that's a right-wing criticism. I think it's a criticism of media, period. It's been that way for both sides of the aisle for a long time.
Yes.
You're going to Fox News, you're not getting good information. I mean, there's institutions that are better than others. And there's some that are a little on the right, there's some that are a little on the left, whatever. But I'd rather one not be either. But you still have like a branch out. Like you have like, this is really good stuff, and they're really not giving you any kind of bias.
Mhm.
You've got a little bit of bias over here, a little bit of bias over there. Then you start branching out to the people who just write in a way that is specifically designed to make you think a certain way about a topic, as opposed to just reading the facts and coming into your own conclusion on them. And we've talked about this before. One of the first times I was on the podcast, we talked about, let's play the game of, does the story match the title?
Yes.
Yeah.
Media's always done that, where they have the sensationalist title for they want the clicks. And before it was clicks, it was they wanted you to buy the headline. They wanted you to buy the newspaper. They wanted you to watch the show to sell the ads. So they've always had this sensational headline that says something, and then you go and read the article, and it's like, that really, the information you're giving me, the data you're giving me is not really matching the story you're trying to tell me in the title. And hardly anybody reads past the title. There's an old saying about reading past the fold, right?
Yeah, right.
So I mean that's been a thing for decades. Yellow journalism, it's been like that forever. But I think people are just not able to, or have the training, or we haven't had the conversation about how to really police that stuff for yourself in a way that you don't get pulled into these echo chamber things like a Fox News or Newsmax or some of this stuff where it goes and spins in different directions.
What I've been, and I'm curious about this because I think we all kind of understand the right just says, well, the New York Times, you're just waiting for the New York Times. But a lot of people who read the New York Times and that's where they get their information are rejecting things like the New York Times. Like, I think if you look at the Charlie Kirk incident, specifically the information we have around the shooter, I've been amazed at how many people don't just accept what is 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is dead.
Yes.
And the shooter wrote things on the bullet that are deeply online and in one interpretation, or left-leaning in another interpretation, but there's not many other interpretations. But the main fact is that Charlie Kirk is dead.
Correct. Yes.
And so when you have a conversation around the guy that killed Charlie Kirk, it's like, he's right-wing to some people. He's the stuff that the prosecutor is releasing is fake. And you're like, you just went through COVID, not you two, but the royal you. The people that I'm interacting with on my Facebook page are like, you told me I just needed to trust everything that the mainstream press and the New York Times printed was true. And now you're saying I should not trust it because it no longer fits your worldview or what you want to be true in this case, as opposed to just looking and saying, yeah, 2 + 2 = 4. What do you guys say about that?
Was the other side of that thing, where how many people who were saying during COVID or before that, don't trust what the government's telling you. The government's lying to you.
Sure.
Well, now we have the shooting at the detention center. These migrants are dead, and it was directed at ICE. I'm like, well, if it was directed at ICE, why aren't any ICE agents dead? Why didn't the ICE agents who were coming to get the guy? That's a perfect opportunity. If you're wanting to kill ICE agents when they're coming to get you and you've got a gun, you should.
So is the theory that this is somehow right-wing violence?
Well, I mean, they killed migrants. They killed, I mean, that seems to me like that's who he was targeting, but I don't know. That's the problem, is we can't trust what the FBI is telling us. Do you trust what?
Never could.
I know.
You never could.
You never could. Here's the thing,
Yeah.
is you never really could, but there's a level of you never really could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, we're podcasters. We should not be in charge of things. I don't know.
No. I think we'd be great in charge of the IRS. I think we'd be great at that.
So what I always did was, and what I always still do, is I'll hear a story come out. I'll go, okay, this is an interesting story. And then I'll read the facts. I'll say, okay, this is what they're saying. What does the counter information say? Is anybody countering this? Is anybody trying to debunk this information? And I'll go look and see what they're saying. And they'll say, well, this is because of this and this because of that. And I go, well, does that make sense? Let me think about that. What's the counter argument to that? And I kind of go back and forth a couple of times to try to see whose arguments make the most sense, which ones are based in fact, which ones are more conjecture or theory, or which ones are biased. And I come to a conclusion based off of that back and forth over a period of a little time, right? So you can't, it's really easy to just jump on your social media and find the people who agree with you and they're saying all this stuff and you're like, oh, that's really crazy. We need to, do something. But you fall into problems when you do that. You really have to counter and look at your own thought processes and your biases on everything before you come to conclusions on things. You can have an initial thought or this is what I think is happening or whatever, but a conclusion or a statement of fact really has to be backed up with that back and forth evaluation of the facts.
Yeah. And when all this stuff is coming out, there's a lot of things that people don't know. Things are getting released.
Yeah.
And then people taking things out of context.
Because, wasn't the dad not a cop? That was he was a sheriff.
A friend of the family was a policeman or something.
And
like
then
his dad.
Trump said there was like a pastor involved, and I haven't seen that be the case. Like,
there's a lot of, they're saying that this one carving meant this, and it's like, no, that really meant something else, but you don't understand. You're not knowledgeable about that world, what that meant, what that world is, so you're making an assumption it means something else.
I immediately wanted to call Herring and ask him what an ooh was, because
if you were in the Discord, you would know.
Yeah, you would know that.
I don't.
We have a whole channel of that.
I got rid of things like Snapchat. Married men
they
not
actually
be on
had me
Snapchat.
blocked from the ooh channel for a long time, and so I said, "Why are you guys not letting me in there?"
You got rid of the ooos?
No, we
he
didn't
just
get rid
let
of
me
it.
out of it. He was trying to protect me.
Reinhold's a respectable person, so we didn't want him in there.
Okay, all right.
They don't want to.
There is a Discord. I don't know. Maybe it's on the website, the We Are Libertarians website. But if people want to get into it, you could just DM Harry, I suppose.
Yeah,
right?
I'll let you in.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get in. But it's they didn't know this space, and even like there's some people that would jumping at the other person, like, well, this person, they're in this space, and they're often like, and I'm trying to let people know, like, listen, like, you probably have a lot more furry friends than you think you do, because unless you're cooling
Are they in
down
the room with us right now?
If you're not cooling down with it, they probably don't let you know. And you're probably just okay with them, or a one, because those fursuits are super expensive. They probably run your cybersecurity at your company. Every expensive job, and that nerd there to be able to talk to you over the weekend, they probably have a fursuit. And
why are people furries? Explain this to me, because I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't understand why people put on the jerseys and put millionaires' names on their back of their things and go to a building every Sunday to chant different slogans.
I mean, I have a theory.
That makes no sense to me.
I accidentally attended a furry convention once.
Yeah.
Because the Libertarian National Committee was meeting in Columbus, the same hotel and time as a furry con.
Coincidence?
It might not have been a coincidence, but I'll tell you, I've never met a group of people as smelly and as horny as the Libertarian National Committee. So it was quite
suits are super expensive. Then the fursuit community was also upset because when COVID was going on, a lot of you other people were taking up all the 91% alcohol to make hand sanitizer, and that's the main thing they use to clean their fursuits. So there's tons of communities that you try to explain is like, okay, this is how you turn 71% to 91%.
But what are they cleaning out of the fursuits is what I want to know.
Sweat. It's called sweat. It's called sweat. It's fur. You sweat.
Bodily fluid.
There's no.
But why would you want to be hot?
Because they don't want to be hot. The fursuits are hot. It's like putting on a fur jacket.
I'm wearing gym clothes right now because I don't want to be hot. Also, I'm very athletic. So I don't want to be hot. I don't understand why people would want to be hot to begin with.
They don't want to be hot. That's why a lot of the fursuits also have like cooling systems built inside of it.
I feel like this is a fetish thing. Is the furry thing you just want to hump a dog? Is that? But you can't.
It's not say like that. I think it's really more just a nice. It's like different.
Yeah.
It's just let's have some fun. Let's do something different. Let's You get into it.
You wearing a tail right now?
Free.
Are you wearing a tail right now?
No, I'm not in.
What's in your butt?
I'm just saying. It is just that kind of thought process where it's like, let's be more free. Let's do something else.
Is it like imagine? Is it imagination? Like you're cosplaying?
Some of it is like that. Some are also just wanting the anonymity of putting on a different headset and just going away and just being someone else.
I do like that.
So because if you have like the what is it? I want to say Fame One here in Indy. You're super famous. You go to Fort Wayne. No one knows who you are.
That's now. Aaron Ewert was at a bar in Atlanta yesterday and heard two women talking about white boy Chris. And he went over to them and said, "Are you talking about Miss Pat?" And they said, "Yes, we're talking about white boy Chris." And they were talking about me in Atlanta, and he overheard it. So I'm Atlanta famous. I'm a D-list local celebrity in Indianapolis.
Yes, yeah.
And like a negative F-list Atlanta celebrity.
See, you should have missed that.
Fort Wayne, only Christy Avery knows who I am. But all right, well, I don't want to get off on furry talk because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm one of
There's a
those
whole new
people that
podcast
doesn't
for
get
it.
it, and you do you. Just don't invite me.
Hey,
to
like
the
I
party.
said, like, yeah, but like, yeah, and that's why I say, like, this is one of the things I always get upset when people label you also with like Christian nationalist crap,
Yeah,
because you are very adjacent to some of these people, but you are the type of Christian of live and let live, a type of one, not
Yep.
like, no, this is the law, I'm going to push you and do this thing. You're just so close to that a lot of people don't understand that aspect. I think they forget that you're also a libertarian.
Can you please explain to them how much I irritate those people?
Yeah, you do irritate because you're like, well, this is blah, 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 but you're like, but you do you, boo-boo. You kind
No,
of
I'm saying the Christian nationalist people hate me
they
more than
annoy
anybody.
you because you're not also hitting other people. Like, how dare you be with these people? How dare you speak to these people? And I'm like,
right.
Well, then why aren't you pushing this agenda that we're
Correct.
trying to push?
Yeah.
You know, you have the audience. Why aren't you saying the things we want you to say?
Yeah, that's just universal. I mean, it's my life is tension.
Yeah,
it is audience tension. It is co-host tension. It is just, and I don't love it, but I do it because I love 90% of everything that I do.
Yeah.
But the 10% is just, that kind of like being misunderstood. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to dominate anybody.
Yep.
Like that's really what it comes down to. The difference between a Christian nationalist is they want to dominate people.
Yes.
And a Christian libertarian wants to, how do I put it? I think that for a free society to operate, you have to have a strong moral code, and the best moral code is Christianity. You two may disagree with that, but my lived experience says that look at the difference in my life in the last 10 years. As I become more faithful and chased wisdom, my life has become better. And I want other people to experience that. I want you to go to heaven and believe in Jesus and be saved. But I don't want to point a gun at your head and tell you that you have to live that way. I don't want to embed my moral code in, and like, frankly, if you want to dominate people, you don't have the ability to persuade people anymore. They see the gun. They don't see Jesus.
That's the thing, is it's really should be about, if you're really in that space and that mindset, it should be a case of, I live my life in a certain way. People see me living my life in that way. They should be saying, how do I live? Like, how can I achieve that?
Exactly.
And you should be, that's how you prophesize, right? You say you do it that way. Putting a gun to someone's head and making them do something is not how you get them in the right headspace to be doing that.
Yeah. It's one thing, like, I did push back on it because on some of the things that you were talking about, because like I see that those inklings on you and wanted to go back to that nice part about you, because you're right, that pushing the gun to someone's head, that means that Christian doesn't have faith in your free will to make the right choice. They want to dominate you to do that free choice.
Yeah.
If I make this Christian only bubble, then my kid only knows this. And I was like, then you have no faith that they're going to do the right thing for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not setting them up. You're the one of that would be one of those people that like, oh, I put them in this, conservative Christian bubble. They went off to college and come back different. College changed them. No, they've just been in this bubble.
You didn't prepare them for war. You didn't prepare them to have conversations. You didn't prepare them to wrestle with doubts. You didn't prepare them to have those conversations.
Them with information when you have the ability to have that conversation with them when they are presented with the information to say, let's think about it and let's have a conversation about it and get them prepared for that stuff, because when they go out in the world, they're going to encounter all kinds of stuff,
furries and all kinds of shit.
If you don't prepare them for that, then what happens is really your fault, not societies or the liberals or whatever.
Yep, they're going to hit different religions, different lifestyles. That is going to happen. Because that's out in the world. You can build a bubble for them because you want to protect your kid. And I saw that when you were talking about that a little bit. And I'm like, you want to protect your kid. That's awesome. But like, you've got to. It's better to let them experience while they're there to ask questions, and you start doing that, and I love that.
Well, that's why we let her have free reign on YouTube on the main TV, and we talk about why don't I want you watching just video game recaps? You can watch some, but like, this is entertainment. That is fundamentally different than Mark Rober, who is teaching you something. And do you want to be smart? Okay, well, then we need to make a better choice. Right? It's the same as talking to them about sugar, right? Making good choices when it comes to what food you're going to eat. Yes, you want to have pumpkin pie for breakfast. It's just better to choose the Lucky Charms.
Yep. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh yeah, but yeah, because I have to do that with my kid, because like the school that she goes to, they just kind of like give them free range and and a card, and they can just charge and get what they want. It's I mean, yeah, they've got the groups they have to do, but once they hit the groups, they go off and do what they want.
Yeah, and so it's already in first grade. She's having to make choices about friendships, and we talk about that stuff. And so, yeah, I think it's just important. I live my life in as open a way as possible. I don't pretend that I have all the answers and I can learn from other people, but at the same time, I'm going to stand firm in my beliefs, and I don't have to be a furry.
Mhm.
I can think furryism is weird and odd and not something that one should participate in, but it doesn't mean that what I think, and you can call that weakness, but I think it's a lot easier to, I think it's a lot weaker to not find one difference in a person and say, I'm not going to connect with that person, because
isn't that really the basis of libertarianism? And that's what I don't understand about a lot of these people who are libertarians who are trying to push their ideology onto other people. You should be able to do, you shouldn't be able to do this. The idea is that you should be able to live the life as you choose to live it, as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Yeah, because if you were a Christian, you believe that making something an idol or participating in idolatry has one logical conclusion. It meets its end, and it's supremely unfulfilling and leaves you wanting to turn to something that actually does speak into you as the created, and you turn to the creator. And so I think there's a lot of insecurity in that we need to force people into a relationship with their creator, as opposed to sometimes you got to let people figure it out. It's Romans 1. Like, God turned them over to this list of things that are bad to let them learn the consequences, so they will eventually lower their pride and turn to something that's better.
Jesus was all about that, right? I mean, he was all about, like, this is how we should be, but also don't judge people for not being there with you at that moment. Give them grace.
I do think you have to, at some point, you have to be honest, and you do have to poke and prod and say, like, if your friend's using drugs, for instance, if your kid is watching things that are bad, like, you can't just say live and let live. Like, there does come a time where you have to say, like, these are the standards. And I think that's the thing that we've lost the ability to negotiate the standards, right? Like, we're now at a point where we really are having an argument on whether or not young women should be trafficked and then used as blackmail.
Right.
I'm sorry, you're never going to get me on the train that the whole Epstein thing is okay. I don't care which party's participating in it. I want them in jail.
Yes.
Murder is never okay. Forgiveness is good. Like, these are
it's live and let live, as long as they're not harming or violating anybody else's rights to live their own lives.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where you get into that. So, like, if you have a friend who's doing something you don't agree with, you can talk to them, you can have a conversation with them. You can choose not to be with them anymore or be friends with them anymore, but you can't put a gun to his head and take him into jail and make him do what you think he should do.
Right.
Really.
And that's the logical conclusion of most Republican and Democrat policies. Harry, we totally veered off of media. Why don't you redirect us back?
No, it's perfectly fine.
We got like 10 more minutes on your topics before we go to Reinhold.
I think, like, the other aspect on it is, I think you can go to a lot of the other news organizations, especially when you know their bias, to get good coverage on certain things, and also understanding, like, I think Ryan brought it up, the difference between the commentators and the actual news part of each organization. Because, like, CNN, their commentation is kind of crap, but their actual news or arm is really good. Just like WIBC's commentators, 90% of them are awful, but, like, their news organization is great.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I work for a local news outlet, and we have, like, a small opinion operation. Okay, and we have a large newsroom operation. And the organization largely functions as a newsroom. And the opinion of the organization I work for locally is that it is outstanding. It's the place to get dependable news. And I can tell you, I'm not a journalist. I don't work in editorial. I'm more on the business side. I mainly edit podcasts. Coming from this background in digital media and podcasting, it's so frustrated with missed opportunities because editorial is so careful. right? Because what they choose to do is the right thing often, as opposed to what is going to generate clicks, which is a better business decision.
Mhm.
More page views equals more revenue in terms of dollars. But to resist that temptation has been a very wise choice in terms of trust, reliability.
Mhm.
I have a whole newfound respect after the last 10 months of working where I do, seeing the level of integrity they try to maintain, and just it's constant back and forth.
Yeah, it's
like
not easy.
it's not easy, and then like there's the reporters and the editors are constantly going back and forth and defend your position, and like and I come from this environment where you don't really have to defend your position. And if you do this where you and I disagree on furries, okay?
Yeah.
You say, all right, Gunther, go be a furry, and I'd
Mhm.
say we're not going to be a furry. We have a different opinion, right? Well, then we separate. You start the furry YouTube channel. I start the anti-furry YouTube channel. We gain our crowd. We monetize it. We can never deviate from
Mhm.
that because we are
Mhm.
audience captured. Versus a journalism outlet where you and I would go back and forth in private
Mhm.
on this story. You'd interview people from both sides. You'd find like it really does work that way.
Yeah.
And then, but a lot of media outlets, like the other big paper in town, have decided let's go for listicles, let's go for opinion, let's go for. There's a great book called Pivot Points by a guy named Marvin Olasky. He's the editor in chief of Christianity Today. Built World Magazine, WNG.org, fantastic podcast division, fantastic website, magazine. And it was on the boots journalism on the ground.
Mhm.
And in the book Pivot Points, he talks about once they hit the Trump era,
Yeah.
they started losing ground rapidly to Epic Daily, because Epic Daily was playing to the crowd, pumping out Daily Mirror type junk, giving lots of opinion.
Owned by some Chinese.
It's
pure
the
propaganda.
anti-communist,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And especially when COVID hit, then World Magazine, the board made the decision that they wanted to lean into opinion to get up revenue, clicks, keep from losing ground to other media outlets. And so he quit. He got fired. I forget. But he wrestles in this book, Pivot Points, about this. And I just can see it on the ground. Like, you gain, and this is, I think, such a part of the civility message and so much of what we've seen in the last month. You don't have to make a choice. You can choose to be a newsroom that has public interest at heart, and maybe you don't make that extra 10% revenue because you don't have as many clicks, but what you gain in reputation really makes a difference.
Yep.
And I will forever defend journalists. I did the whole mainstream media is corrupt thing 10 years ago, but that's because I didn't know what I was talking about. I wasn't exposed to people who do the work and seeing the process internally.
I mean, there are good people out there trying to do the, and then there's a lot of people out there who just want cash.
Right.
Yeah.
Conflict entrepreneurs.
Yeah. You can almost tell like when the commentators have too much power and they can just go to air with a story when you're like, wow, that should have went back and forth a couple.
Candace Owens can put whatever she wants on her Instagram stories and it becomes fact. It doesn't mean that Candace Owens putting something up on our Instagram story is the same as that debate that I'm talking about. But this is what
It's a good example of that debate for anybody who wants to visualize it. All the President's Men, go watch that.
Yeah.
The Ed Bradley having the conversations with the reporters, trying to Woodward and Bernstein about what's going to go on. There's other people in the room too.
It's exactly what it's like.
That's really how it should be.
It's exactly how it works. At least where I'm at. I will say, like, in terms of what to do, local. Get your news from local outlets, because the thing about where I work, you can come to our events. You can meet the reporters in person. You can email them and get lunch with them and say, I read this story. I don't know what to think about it. Because what reporters put in a newspaper is a fraction of what they know. It's because they can't prove it. They can't get a record. I Talked to a reporter yesterday for a documentary that everybody has watched, that I am connected to the subject in some way. And what they told me is not what they can put on the documentary yet because they can't prove it. I'll tell you off air. But like, reporters know way more than what you actually read in the media. And what I hate is these New York Times reporters that hold stuff of public interest for their books.
Yeah.
That they're going to publish.
Or who, the other thing is the anonymous sources and things like that. At some point, that becomes very annoying. It's like, somebody come on the record at some point and say something because we can't trust this stuff anymore.
Yeah, where I work is somewhere between the paper and all the president's men. But I would say like one way to solve that problem is just trust local newspapers, TV stations. They get it wrong, but you can call them, you can get lunch, you can email that person, DM them, and they can talk to you. You will never talk to Jake Tapper.
And be careful who not all your local papers are actually local papers.
I mean, yes and no. It's like we went to a chain restaurant last night. You could say, well, you aren't supporting local restaurants. But the college student that served my food also lives in that town. So the people that work at the Indiana Capital Chronicle, which is a nonprofit based in, I think, North Carolina, like all those people live here. They work here. They're Gannett paper people all live here. They care about their community.
Look, out where I live, where we have a lot less resources.
Yeah.
We had a local newspaper. It got bought out by another paper. And they really just pulled all staff out, and they're just republishing what they're publishing on their other location into that, and you get very little local news anymore.
Yeah.
I like my local paper just for the simple fact they post the health inspection reports on all the restaurants. So that alone is worth its weight in gold.
Nice.
When your wife's like, "Let's go here," like, no. After they clear that,
a whole story about one of our local restaurants got shut down, but.
All right, so what do we do? How do we fix this? What do we do?
Well, we really can't fix anything. I mean, we just...
I think like the best way to fix it is just try to educate people on how to read the news. I think one thing that I picked up from Reinhold, well, many of the things I pick up from Reinhold, is that the history of what has gone on and happened is at your fingertips. You just got to search for it and go through a lot of it, especially when someone says something very awful when it's like, this is about as the violent everything has got. It's like Reinhold is very quick, like, no, it hasn't.
No, I saw Mitch Daniels talk last night at this civility thing, and he said this 2 weeks ago when I saw Mitch Daniels speak. I just follow Mitch Daniels around. He's who I voted for Mitch Daniels for president. I wrote him in. It's the only logical choice for president in 2024. And he said if you hear, he's quoting Niall Ferguson, but he said, if you hear someone say we live in unprecedented times, it means they just haven't read history.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
We talk, Tim Pool, and we talk about all this stuff, and I'm like,
Civil War
around in the 60s. You guys really don't know yet.
If you look at the what is it, Capehart Minton building here in Indianapolis where the FBI is located downtown. There's a reason it looks so weird. And it's because it was built to be bomb-proof. Because when it was built, there were 10,000 bombings happening in the country.
Yeah.
So it's been violent before. We've had assassinations before. We've had high crime before. And we've fixed it, and we will fix it again. And everything's not lost. But conflict entrepreneurs want you to feel hopeless because then they can dominate in you and control your mind.
And we can move on a little bit. That's what I really hate about populism. It's just like you're hearing people saying it's the most violent era we've ever had. The country's going into hell. It's the worst it's ever been, just to get political power. And it gets frustrating because it's like people will believe you when you say that stuff because they want to believe that. They want to feel like somebody recognizes the issues and they're going to come and fix it for them, like their dad, which is a lot of when Trump was running, they were talking about Daddy Trump, and he was going to come in and spank everybody and make everybody right. And it's just, that's not how society should function.
Yep.
In a free society where people let people make choices on their own, how they want to live their lives. When you have an authoritarian figure like that running a populist campaign and a populist philosophy, there's only one in the collusion to that.
Yeah.
And it is not a good one.
So is this your topic?
I don't know if it's the topic anybody wants to hear about. But,
Well, it's your turn. You got 20 minutes, buddy.
I spend a little time talking about I told you so.
I know. We couldn't get together last month because Harry couldn't be here, and he's like, just go ahead and do it with Reinhold. I was like, no, I need two of us policing his I told you so's, because chat with him these days is nothing but I told you so's. You predicted in our last episode before we returned that we would fall into fascism. Do you want to apologize? Do you feel like you overdid
apologize
it?
for being right?
Well, now you're being. Let's be civil and stop calling people fascist.
But if that's what they are, why? I don't see. That's the whole thing.
See,
that gets me frustrated.
Police's speech
is that there's a
be civil.
There's a lot of people who go out there calling people names that aren't accurate. Like there are people saying, "Oh, this guy's a Nazi. This guy's a fascist, etc. This guy's a commie." And that's what irritates me the most too. Is that when people say, "Quit calling us fascists, you stupid commie."
Yeah,
you not see what you're doing?
I know this is. Look, you are listening, dear listener, to someone who was at the founding meeting of the Indiana Tea Party with the Baneys, and Melissa Hubbard was there, and Andy Horning, and we all met at Buca de Beppo's at some point in, I think, 2009, 10, and in the back room, in a private room, and all decided to pool our resources and put together the Indiana Tea Party. And I've been to so many tea parties because I was executive director of the Libertarian Party of Indiana at the time. And I remember the signs of Obama with the little Hitler mustache, and I remember the racist signs, and I remember calling Hillary a Nazi. I mean, to me, it's like trying to speech police the left now by saying you can't call people names is really you trying to, like, I don't think these guys are Hitler. I do think the guy that was quoting the Goebbels speech is suspect.
Stephen Miller is a Nazi. I will say that.
Like,
straight
super
up.
sus.
Let's just be straight about it, because he's telling you exactly what he thinks.
Correct. Yeah. Because Erica's speech is what was needed. Everyone else was like, "What the heck?"
Trump gets up and says, the difference between me and Charlie is I hate my enemies. And
Right.
Like,
it was. I saw one of the gay brothers who run Liberty Memes, Peter Gay, say, like, I'll sum it up. That was the difference between Christ and Antichrist. I'm not calling Trump the Antichrist because I think Antichrist is people who embody the Antichrist as outlined in the Bible. And so to get up and say, the moment where she said, "I forgive the man that shot my husband," like a week before, you can say what you want about the pyrotechnics or whatever, but Tim Allen sees it and says, "I'm finally ready to say I forgive the guy that killed my dad after 60 years. Right? Like, goodness spreads. And what we need now is goodness spreading. If you want, we are all reflectors of light or reflectors of darkness. And Erica Kirk reflected light because forgiveness is good. A lack of forgiveness is bad. Right? And so, yeah, it's just crazy to me.
It's always been my frustration when I would try to say, "Hey, there's an issue, there's a problem here. We're running into an ideology that is coming into play. It's coming into power. That's always been kind of at the lower levels of United States.
Huey Long.
United States invented fascism. No, people don't like to know that, but it's historically correct.
Yeah.
Which, define it. Define fascism.
It's basically a populist right-wing ideology that looks at
in the mic.
That looks to is a right-wing populist ideology that looks to gain power by pitting people against each other. Machismo being something that you have to be a part of. You have to be masculine. You have to. A lot of times there's a religious component to it, and it really is about dividing people in order to gain control of people. And for so many years, I'd never call people Nazis. I never, because it was like the Nazi Party is a whole different thing.
It's a very specific, time-specific ideology.
And then there's And in fascists, I don't call people fascists unless I actually believe them to be that. So I don't use those type of name things. But the problem is so many people do. So when I come along and say, hey, look, Trump is running a campaign. He has an ideology that is very fascist. And I don't believe that everybody who follows him is a fascist, because that's crazy talk. I'm not, and you asked me that before. I don't believe that at all. But there are people within his organization, in his circle, who are.
Yes.
And we need to be able to call that out. And when so many people for so many years have said, hey, you're a fascist, you're a commie, you're a lefty, you're all this stuff, they just name throw it when they don't really know what they're saying. When somebody accurately says, hey, this is this, no one will listen to you. And that's the worst part of it all.
Yeah, I mean, just it's like the white nationalist, Christian nationalist thing that you brought up. It's like, you can call me that, but at some point you just have deemed yourself irrelevant, because anybody that is actually paying attention knows that's not the case. I know that's not true about myself. You can try to label me that because you have some other agenda, which I don't know what that would be. I don't know why I'm a threat to people other than just trying to provide an example that goes counter to what extremes want, which is usually why they try to kill the moderates. But yeah, it's like trying to take somebody off the playing field with a name. It's the right's argument against overusing the word racism. People just tune you out at a certain point. If you're cheapening words in a Facebook argument with somebody, and you just don't want to deal with the argument, so you call them a name, you've lost the debate. Left, right, center, whatever. Like, everybody gets frustrated in these conversations, but resorting to name calling is when you lose. But also identifying thought patterns and connecting them to the logical conclusions of your behavior. So, like, if you're somebody who says furryism leads to transitioning, which is a mental illness, which means you're going to shoot up schools. Okay, well then why can't you say, like, a government official who uses division and these tactics in order to control people? Why is, like, everybody wants call-out culture for their beliefs, but they don't want to operate in a way that actually makes them be listened to.
Exactly. It's the same way you see, like, the right wing getting upset at all the Muslims in Dearborn. They're like, how are they're bringing Sharia law? Like, this is what you guys have been trying to do with your Christian nationalism. They're just doing it first.
It's a different, a different religion. If it was their religion, it'd be okay. But my religion is not okay.
Or the imam in, I think I sent the video of the, like, trying to get the Muslim shop owners to stop putting the gambling and pork and alcohol in their stores. Like, oh no, we're not doing it. The church is doing, their religion is doing it. It's not like the government is doing it. Yeah, they're just doing it. It's just a different religion. Now they're freaked out. Now they're mad because it is the other side. But like, yeah, I think the other problem with a lot of people with fascism defining it and seeing it, is that because it is that ideology is willing to transform itself to hide and to gain power. They have no issue about it. They'll throw away all their morals to keep power also.
What do you think I hate my enemies meant? What do you mean? What do you think when the president tweets out, hey, Pam, why haven't we gotten this done? Go after James Comey, the guy that got me elected in 2016. Right. Let's put him in jail.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's why the definition does fit. And because if Erica's speech of forgiveness and turning the other cheek, the Christian, people turning to that ruins all his plans.
And that's a good point. Yeah, he loses power. And it
bounces water on half of it.
For my Christian people, like, Jesus persuaded people. Jesus used persuasion. He could have rolled in there with the Roman equivalent of tanks and taken over, and that's what the Jews of the time wanted. But Jesus used persuasion and miracles and storytelling
and living the ideology
and living out and being perfect.
Yeah, and the early Christians took hundreds of years to get the power that they had.
Right.
They were instantly in power, running Rome.
When Jesus had every power available to do exactly that.
All the apostles were at some point persecuted. I mean, it was it was a hard time for them at the time. And they didn't go out and try to put an army. There was some
now next time he's not coming back so nice. So everybody get ready. He's not going to be nice next time. But this time
there was talk
he gave us an
army together though at the time. When that.
Well, that's who Simon the Zealot was.
Right.
Simon the Zealot was a guy who we don't know that he participated in subversive acts against the Roman government, but they called him Simon the Zealot. And zealotry, and I think Judas Iscariot was part of this too, was radical, like Antifa against Rome, whatever means necessary to get rid of political power. And then Jesus put him at the dinner table next to Matthew the tax collector, the guy who was robbing his own people to give money to the people that Simon the Zealot thought was the enemy. And so Christ's own example is putting two people together who could not stand each other in the worldly context, but had in common a love of Jesus and a love of his way. And so you can say, let's segment people into these specific niches of thought, behavior, identity, skin color, whatever, and only associate myself with Black culture or Christian conservative culture. But that's not how Jesus did it. Jesus had
Look, we're all different ideologies as far as that goes. I mean, I'm an atheist. You're very much Christian.
Well, that's why you're ugly and stupid. Sorry, let me look at my civil sign.
But that's the thing, is we still have conversations, but I can still talk to you about Christianity because you're not an evil person because you're a Christian.
Right.
You know, I can say I may disagree with you on some things, but it's not like I can also understand where you're coming from. I can understand your thought processes. I can talk to you about Christianity because I studied Christianity for a long time. I used to be one. And I can say, hey, this is what they thought, and this is why this makes sense to me when you're saying this and how this works, and maybe even talk to you in a language that you understand on something I'm trying to convince you on. Whereas if I had an animosity towards it to the point where I couldn't do that, I didn't know that language, then there's no way I can have a common language with you. And it's a lot of problems I see nowadays is that people want to be so against everything else that they're not, that they never learn to understand what that is.
Right. And that dialogue is what shapes and changes people. So check out Justin Brierley's podcast and book, The Strange Rebirth of God. I think it's that. The Surprising Rebirth of God. And he talks about Richard Dawkins. I had lunch yesterday with somebody that went and saw Richard Dawkins in a nearby city. And he was talking about how I want you to be Christian because we need the moral scaffolding to perpetrate the West, because the West means freedom of expression. The West means freedom of association. It means liberation from government control. And understanding Christianity, you should teach your kids Christianity because that helps them to understand the context that they live in and why we're different than the Chinese or Middle Eastern societies. And so even the Christians who have been in dialogue with Richard Dawkins, he has ceded ground since 20 years ago, right? You may not totally change the other person's mind, but you're just going to get them to think about what you're saying, and vice versa.
At least stop seeing each other as evil.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, here's the problem too, is that we can sit and say, I don't want this person to be considered evil. I don't want this. But then you look at people who are actually evil, and you've got to be able to say there's a line, right? If you're advocating for the murder of people or the jailing of people who don't deserve it and things like that, you have to say that's wrong.
You've got to speak up.
And
that's part of
some people, and there's some people who are involved in that where I think they're just misguided, or they've been led astray, or they are thinking wrong, and I can have a conversation with them. But then there's people who, and I will say a name, I will say Stephen Miller again. You can't have a conversation with that guy.
Right.
He
wants to dominate.
Done. There are people like that you have to recognize and say, look, there's a line here that we shouldn't be crossing, and you've crossed it. You're there.
Yeah. He's otherized and dehumanized people to a point, and now he wants.
And it's just he can't get it out of his head. It's his mentality. And you showed me that video of them interviewing his wife on.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Would she call him the sexual stallion or something? It's Jesse
Matador.
Waters.
It was a
sexual matador, right?
And he's you're the envy of all women, and I'm like,
he said it sarcastically.
I don't think he did.
I think he absolutely did.
Not Jesse Walters. I don't think he did. I think he really believes that the Trump and Stephen Miller thing, because Stephen Miller is really what's driving a lot of what Trump's doing.
Yeah.
And I think they have a really see him as like an idol of some sort. That
If you think we're
he's
crazy,
their champion who's
go-
going to come get them because she said he wakes up every day saying, "I'm going to go crush my enemies."
I think if you think we're crazy, go read the book Hate Monger about Stephen Miller and just like read him in his own words and read about his actions and his past beliefs, and go watch his speech at the Kirk funeral and taking that opportunity where people are mourning and worshiping to give a speech that was a plagiarized speech of Joseph of Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist.
Call to action too, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
call to action, yeah.
you just watch that speech. I mean, it's demonic.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about demons on the left, like.
And we found out long ago he had all this writing on Stormfront and stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah.
we've known this about him. How did he get here? And it's just because people are turning a blind eye to it because either they don't believe it, they don't care if it's that case, and all they want to do is crush their enemies. And that's what he's doing.
Yes.
He's leading the army against all the people who I disagree with or I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what our society's come to today. That's what populism and fascism brings out in a society, and that's why it's so bad.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just getting the people to understand that the other side aren't evil demons. You can go talk and have conversations with these people. My next door neighbor, massive Trump supporter, has the flags and everything, but like, we hang out and talk.
Yeah.
We have
I live in
conversations.
very, very red country or blue country or not.
Red. Yeah.
Red.
You're out in the
Red.
country, and yeah.
I've never understood. I always thought that red should be Democrats red
because commies, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, communists.
in my head. It's always been
It's okay.
the other way. But yeah, I live
And
in
blue,
that country. I have
blue
people,
for
neighbors,
red, white, and blue patriotism versus the red communism, right? Yeah.
But I see people with Trump signs, where I live at, and it's like I can roll my eyes at it, but I understand where their thinking is, and it's just that most of the time for a lot of people, it's just that they don't spend the time thinking about it that much. They're saying the things. I mean, somebody I know, and I'm not going to say who, who I did not expect at all, was just telling me one day, Trump's right about this stuff, and I'm like, no, he's not. Where do you even get that at? How did you come to that thought process? You have a daughter. Why are you agreeing with what he says about the women? And I come find out he's kind of been hurt so much that he actually starts to believe that stuff. And it's coming from a place where people have problems and are not finding the good solutions for them. They're not finding good, healthy therapy for themselves. And that is what gravitates to somebody like that.
That is the surprising thing, that I'm very fortunate to get to talk to so many people, and the people who are seem the most angry on whatever side. You really dig in, and they're using politics and this anger as a way to try to heal, to find community, to solve some problem, because something in their life's not going the way that they want it to go. And like, if you're a Christian nationalist, that's called idolatry, and it's pride if you think that you can use government to solve social. Jesus doesn't need your help with the government. Jesus does not need politics help for the Spirit to move. He needs you to pray. He needs you to be humble. He does not need your prideful government to fix the problem.
He gets in the way of what he's trying to do.
But let me say this. Jeff, I don't know if you guys listened to the Jeff Worrell podcast about civility. In his rules, everybody comes to their point of view because of their history. And if you try to figure out somebody's history, you humanize them in the conversation. If you don't start with, you're a lib, you're cool, you're right, like, come at it from a but if you really try to understand why, you don't have to agree with those people. Trying to listen to someone and hear why they feel the way that they feel does not mean that you have to agree with them. Having the conversation does not mean that you associate with bad people. And he brought up Daryl Davis, which is getting close to worn out, but he's a guy, a black jazz musician who goes and meets with Klans members and collects Klan robes of people that he converted to seeing him as a human being. And it's just through conversation. But you could sit there and you can criticize him and go, why are you talking to those people? But it's because he wants those people to hear his story because they want them to be human. And so everybody comes to a conclusion politically, socially, culturally, because of some background, because of some history.
Yeah.
And if you can start there, then have the conversation, it's much more productive at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you have to have these conversations and be friends with these people. I've got a friend, they did not, white woman does not have
Oh,
many
God.
have many
Gross.
black friends, right?
Gross.
Or black people in her life, and having a discussion with them. And we actually even talked about, like, we have frank conversations, safe, frank conversations in a car, talking about even like race mixing, right? And she brought it up like, well, I just think it's just a culture thing. And I was like, culture? What is it? Yeah, there's races in different cultures, but like,
explain the concept. Like, what do you mean race mixing for people who don't get it?
People dating outside their race.
Right.
I think like Spangle even talks about, like, yeah, that wasn't even like, it got to 50% popular in the 90s. It's still barely popular. There's still echoes of it.
Even though 60% of our generation is multi-ethnic, mixed. I don't know what the word is, but
I just say mixed. Yeah.
It's, in the 90s, it was like 50% disagreement. I forget what the number was, but that was like 2 months ago. And it hasn't bubbled to the surface, but it's definitely below in right-wing circles of like, and on left-wing circles.
Yeah.
Like, why are you dating white women?
Right.
And I'm sure maybe you've dealt with that.
My wife gets it more than I do. Like, how to check out one of the good black men. She gets
from black women?
From black women,
Okay.
yeah. But and I kept saying, like, well, culture is like, okay, so who do you think, like, if you have more in core with it culturally, me as a black man here in Indy with you, or a white man in Southern California? You're raised Republican here in the Midwest. What culturally do you think you can be with anyone white? Is it in California? San Francisco, right?
Right.
And just that kind of like dawned on her, like, oh yeah, has had more to do than this, and just one, and as like the physical characteristics that someone walks around with. And because it's kind of weird that we do skin color, not ear shape.
Yeah. Vodi Bakum, who just passed away, who was a Christian pastor, evangelist, I saw him give this speech a long time, just saw it again this morning, and it always makes me laugh because he's talking about racism, and he's like, biblically, the concept of racism does not exist. God made it, biologically, the concept of racism does not exist. The only difference is that Harry has more melanin in his skin than Reinhold have in ours. And he said, I want you to know that just because you are deficient in melanin, I don't want you to feel bad about yourself. God loves you. Yep. And I always thought that was hilarious.
It's really based off ears. If you look at Spangle's ears, they're that.
Or whether or not this finger is longer than that.
Oh yeah.
Or I have the flat knuckles.
Oh,
you guys have the raised knuckles. My ears are attached.
See that? See that? No.
I have
no lobe.
That's the interesting thing too, is if you find as your society starts to become more homogenous, like you say, all the black people are gone, it's just nothing but white people. They'll find other things to not like each other about. Oh, you're left-handed. Oh, you're evil. You're the devil. We got to beat that out of you. That sort of thing.
Talk about Europe.
As you get more and more and more homogenized, you still find things to separate you with.
Yeah.
So it's just a tool.
Europe, China.
And what's funny to me is a lot of people who are like, there's no systemic racism isn't a thing, blah, blah, blah. We shouldn't even be talking about it, blah, blah, etc. And people like Charlie Kirk and stuff like that would come back and say, it's when you say, okay, well, how do you explain all these different statistics where black people are more likely to get arrested for things that white people wouldn't be, all the disparities in there, and they're like, well, that's cultural based, right?
I had this conversation. Yeah. I argue with one right wing friend that we all know every day, constantly in chat, and he can't. I said, look, you can say that systemic racism doesn't exist. But I'm out in the community. I work in a newspaper. I'm editing podcasts of organizations that reach out into the community. Mm-hmm. Why are black communities poorer? And you can answer it only two ways. Black people aren't as... Can you say black people are deficient?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay. That black people are deficient in some way because of their race or ethnicity, or... there has been a 100, 500, 400, whatever years systemic, like the people who are throwing things at Ruby Bridges just died,
Correct.
right? She's 60 years old. Like
Correct.
the people that redlined neighborhoods and told them they couldn't get mortgages and invest in wealth are still alive. Like,
well, that's
They
the
were
thing
eight-
what
is
do you
they
think that they just everybody woke up from the 90s and said, you know what, that interracial marriage thing that I was wrong about in the 90s, I disagree with now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those people are still alive.
Well, they
If they
talk
were-
about this where
it's-
they say it's culture, but then they stop there. And it's like, okay, you say culture. You say it's because they have a different culture than you. Why do they have a different culture than you
Yeah.
when we're all born in the same place and say,
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
is it because A, their race, or is it, and there's something in their genetic makeup that makes them act this way?
Mhm.
Or is it B, society has beat them down and made them this
Fence
way?
people
It's like
into certain
when
outcomes.
you push past that culture comeback, because they use that as a stopgap. They say it's culture, and then they try to move on. When you push them on that and point out that it's either one way or the other, and either way you're got the answer, you either going to accept that there is systemic racism, or you think it's racist, in some way that it's because of their race. You only have those two options.
Yeah.
And people don't want to deal with that, so they just stop at the culture and move on because they think they've made a point.
Yeah.
No, it is giving them a permission structure. You have to find an out. And this is, I saw Charlie Kirk do this in a lot of videos where a black student would come up and say, this is my experience. He'd say, well, this doesn't exist. And the black student would say, this is my experience. And he would say, you lie. So he's given himself an out. He doesn't have to listen to that person or believe that person because he doesn't believe what they say, or I just don't appreciate that. Like I think he was killed for his speech, and I think that's a terrible precedent, and it never should have happened. We just approach a lot of things differently, but I also think he was growing and changing and different.
Yeah.
Van Jones, that conversation shows like here's a guy who is engaging with people.
Yeah, that's the worst part about the deaths and stuff like that, where it's like, I know people who celebrate. I never celebrated like Osama bin Laden dying. I didn't think it was a good thing. I don't want people to die. I don't want people to be killed. I want people who are bad or evil, or even like Stephen Miller. I don't want them killed.
Right.
I want them to live long enough to understand why they were wrong and become better people. I want them to grow and figure it out. Or if they do something like the death penalty, I don't agree with. If you kill somebody and they want to put you to death, I think that's an out for you. I want you in jail for the rest of your life and making that life as long as possible so you can be punished and live with it. So maybe one day you can come to understand why you did what you did was wrong. And anything where you go after somebody and kill them for their beliefs, all you're doing is making them a martyr and raising up that mindset that you think should go away. I don't want, some people are like, well, if Trump just were to old age die, or even if he fills out his complete term and then goes away somewhere and retires, and then everything falls apart in that world because he's not there to push it and lead it, people are still going to say he was right. It was just everybody else was not able to do it, or he dies and
communism has never really been.
I want us to show that what his saying is, the terror things and the anti-immigration thing, all stuff. I want that to fail so badly that people recognize
never want to do it again.
For the next 100 years until we do it again, like we did this time, because we did all of this 100 years ago. We're repeating exactly 100 years ago again.
What you're saying is, the best way to police speech is more speech, different speech, better persuasion, and that is the libertarian creed. So, all right, let's give final thoughts for the episode, Reinhold and then Harry.
Final thoughts is, that we're back doing this. Hopefully, the next couple of months we won't have a lot to talk about. We'll see. Hopefully, it won't be as crazy as it was this last time, but
I hope not.
I suspect it's not going to be the case.
I hope we never. I think it is just so important for everybody to be extremely clear that what happened to Charlie Kirk is horrible.
Definitely.
Because this is like 100%. The Skokie, Illinois Nazi Klansmen when the ACLU defended their right to have a parade against the government. It was a moment where society said, here's the permission structure. Even if you disagree with everything that person says, this is the principle. And what has happened on the left in the response, and you can say, oh, I haven't seen this, I can pull up a Facebook group where it is 9,000 ha-has at Charlie Kirk getting killed and one sad face, which was me, and the comments are abysmal. You don't understand what you're doing, because what you're doing is saying to the next shooter is that you will make him a hero too. It's the same with Luigi. Nobody, and in my view, not even the government, has the right to pretend to be God to take someone's life. And when we celebrate it, what you do is you create a permission structure that is an acceptable form of public discourse, that they say something and you shoot them in the face. And I have this book that I've been kind of reading through by James Davison Hunter called Before the Shooting Starts. He coined the term culture wars. His first book was Culture Wars, and the next book was Before the Shooting Starts, about how to structure the conversation around abortion. Well, the shooting started, and it didn't just start with Kirk. It's been happening for 10 years, and it is not one side's fault. It is, and yeah, oh no, both sides. It is all sides. Sometimes it is both sides, and at the end of the day, you have to be really clear. And if you can't be really clear because you don't want to say it, then please don't talk. Sometimes it's better to not open your mouth and let people wonder if you're an idiot than it is to open your mouth and prove them right. I don't think people should be fired from their jobs. I think people, the FCC should be pulling people off the air. I don't. But at the end of the day, like, you have to think about your words having power. This is a principle on this show that we've talked about for a long time. The foundation of libertarianism is like human actions create a society. Like, every financial decision you make, every transaction you make, every dollar you spend, every word you say contributes to the larger society. And so you really have to think, like, is what I'm saying, posting, thinking about doing, acting out right now how I want society to operate? And no, in the grand scheme of things, maybe you can't change the world, but you can contribute to it being a better place. And just like, we're all connected. Like, even though we're individualists, all three of us, you are part of some collective. You are part of some group. So get clear on your principles. Harry, you started a fire under me, and I don't know if you've heard me say this, but like, we're going back to principles on this show, because you got to get clear on them. And that's what you said the last time in your final thoughts, and it inspired me and hopefully many others. So give us some wisdom, please.
I will say this. I think a couple of books I think everyone should like pick up if they haven't is the Dictator's Handbook. I think that book is an amazing book to watch out with. These lot of different petitions are doing, the little tricks and games they try to pull.
It turned into a documentary on Netflix. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen the documentary.
Yeah.
Great book. I recommend it. The other one, I will have to say it up to the people, which I will point back to this other one, is anyone who was 18 prior to 1963 has probably said the N-word in public out loud. Just like if you were 18 before 2002, you have probably said the F slur out loud in public, full-throated. So just understand that these people are alive. They're walking around with you. Just, if they've moved, give them grace. If they and because most of them haven't, and they keep the same awful, crappy choices that they've made, and it is, a lot of them are despicable. Like, I think the Ruby Bridges thing is, I brought that up to my mother, that told her that she's older than Ruby, because like, this isn't history to most people. You know, they don't understand these different things that has gone on into different communities, and which I also try to show people is like, if you get into, which is the best thing about the U.S. court system, a lot of these records are public. You can find these things out, and we sit down there in these court cases, and they present truth out there. And it's how you find things out. And I think with the Charlie Kirk shooting, we're going to find a lot of things out in the court case. What is separating the real stuff from the crap that just got put out because people leaked and stuff like that. Just like the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting, you find out a lot of different things like that. And it just so you don't know truth until it gets presented. It can be presented as evidence.
That's the point of trials, and that's why we as a Western society have trials. Is so we don't use the mob to go after people. We let you adjudicate the charges against you.
Portman's assassination, I was arguing with somebody the other day where they're saying that, well, the shooter was a friend of Waltz's, and they
The
were
Minnesota
doing it
Minnesota legislators.
a change of immigration thing. I was like, no, they went and found all his writings that he had. They found his list that he had of all the people he was going after, all these Democrats in Minnesota and other states. He was going after those, and he said it has nothing to do with what was originally reported by the right, because they wanted to try and make it look like it was a left wing type of thing. And it's like the same thing that a lot of leftists were trying to do with the shooter of Charlie Kirk. It's like there's a rush to try to pin this on the other side so your side can look better.
Which, like, what does it matter?
It's like both sides are violent right now. Stop being
what
violent.
did like at
Call
the
your
end of the
own stuff
day,
out.
if your team did this or the other team, like, the problem is the man's dead.
Right. Right.
The problem was the act. It's the killing that was the problem. It's not. It doesn't absolve anybody of anything if the right or wrong team did it. It just it's individualism needs to make.
We're finding out in the trials. You go and read that stuff, and you find that information out. And people aren't looking at that because that was 100%. Well, you're just an R word. It's calling me slurs. It's like,
well,
you don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah,
making a joke, trying to be uncivil today.
No, you're fine. It's one of those neat things. Like I said, it's the neat things about the trial. You find these different things out, and it's going to be interesting. Just like the Kyle Rittenhouse, it was very interesting to find out what's coming out, and also seeing the respect of some people to go like, "Oh, I was wrong with this when I reported this. This is how I got information," and those people do get respect because they are willing to admit, "Yeah, I was wrong."
I have a theory about white people. And I want you to evaluate this, please.
Okay.
Comfort, as Dion always talks about, is very important to white people.
Mm-hmm.
Totally see that in myself.
Yep.
The need to be right seems to be a very important thing to suburban Americans.
Yes.
I don't sense that in a lot of like the pat down audience. Like there's more of a shoulder shrug than a see, I was right. I'm not looking at Reinhold. They're not making eye contact with him.
To people in suburbia, a lot of it, because I always think because a lot of them got tricked in suburbia too. So they,
Now I want to say I'm not. Hey, I make Matthew Durbin super mad when I talk about the suburbs. I like the suburbs. If you live there, it's fine. I'm just pushing back because y'all talk about the city so much. We've got to fight back a little bit.
The suburbs is an abomination, and the only reason it exists so if the U.S. got nuked, we would be so spread out. It's an abomination on the planet Earth.
It's not the only reason.
Yes, it is. And also get rid of black people, get away from black people and other minorities. There's the other reason it was created. But it is just, it is one of those things that are, I gotta put it, it's not that, it is kind of like a lot of people some groups of people just want to be right. They want to hit some people with the I told you so. And the one thing I will say, it's the lot of different crime outside of the cities, especially because most black people are concentrated into cities, right? That's for most of us. And if you go to any other police department that isn't part of the city, most of the crime are, they're white police arresting white people. And none of them, they probably...
white on white violence.
It's white on white violence. It's white on white crime. Blah 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 blah. And a lot of those crime statistics don't get reported to the FBI. Just like a lot of when people go like, well, women are as violent. Women doesn't do like a lot of those crimes because a lot of their crimes get pleaded down to other smaller case charges, so none of those get filed in statistics. Also, a lot of violent crime that a lot of women do, it's because they've got their male partner to do, and they get the bulk of the charges.
Yeah,
or it's violence against men from women, and men don't want to.
This is just a universal thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear the government touting reading scores have gone up. They changed the formula.
They changed the formula. Yeah, and the other reason
if you hear the crime is down and crime is down in this city, they're juicing the stats. It's
well, the other thing was our education and test standards. It's like, well, why is America's test standards because we try to educate people who aren't going to college, and we're getting them on that track.
Yeah.
Every other country in the world, no, they get to a certain point, like, yeah, you can drop out, go out there, please leave the school. They kick them out. They put test goal blocks, so like, oh, you can get past this, get the heck out.
Yeah, I'm not saying that But 9 times out of 10, you scratch the surface, you find out the government's or somebody's messing with some.
Yeah, they're
data
just
somewhere.
well, it's just the same way here in Indiana, like where like, oh, look how many bike trails because they put a bike trail on a road that's 45 miles per hour to nowhere, just to put the mileage down. Like, oh, look how many miles of bike trails.
Literally on the street I'm lived
part
by.
of it too is that it's different knowledge than we had before. Like there was a study recently where they went into college literature courses and found out that a large percentage of the people there couldn't understand the first paragraph of a Dickens novel, right? A specific Dickens novel. It's like, and that was something that children used to read as kids back in the day, but we don't have that type of society anymore where people are reading a lot.
Reading had a good run.
Yeah. And used to read the letters that people used to write to each other. They're very poetic and flowing, and it's not like you see today where it's all text speech and people are just trying to get the message across in a few as characters possible. Right?
My autocorrect went off on my phone, so if I sound borderline Neanderthal, that's why I can't. I'm an idiot.
But it's like society's just different now. The knowledge and intelligence is focused in different areas than it was at the past. So good or bad. I mean, I think there's good you said on either side of it, but.
I'll admit I'm addicted to the audio dictation through Gemini and telling it to clean it up for me before sending it to people.
I will use ChatGPT to check my grammar and syntax.
Yeah,
I think that's okay.
To make me sound nicer. Soften that
Grammarly, people used that for years before ChatGPT was around, and they were doing the same thing.
It's
that's still technically LLM AI.
I use my Grammarly to clean up my ChatGPT, which cleans up my writing.
I know. Makes me sound like wow. Like it's like
what a great writer he is. Yeah, a good editor.
I will say anything I've ever written on Reinhold.org is never been through a ChatGPT.
Never fact checked.
Not even Grammarly. Nothing. It's just me. That's why it's so bad.
Incomprehensible for many reasons, mainly the libness. All right, thanks for joining us here on We Are Libertarians. We thank you so much for joining us. Hope you will join us again and join us next month on when they come and join us. All right, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again next month.